How we doing today? True love and fishing, guys. Thank you for joining me once again. I'm about to pick up the kayak tomorrow morning bright and early. We're going to do a fishing trip. But it got me thinking, some friends of mine have been asking the question, if I want to get into kayak fishing, what do I need to start? So I think there's a lot of people out there that want to know the same thing. I'm an expert by no means. I've been probably doing this now for 2 years. Primarily I've fished out of a boat before that, but I can share a lot of knowledge on this. I went through this 2 times, and I'll explain that. And the first time I spent way too much money. I'll be the first to admit it, and that's what this video is hopefully for. I'm going to save you a lot of time, a lot of what you absolutely need, some things you probably do not need, and then some wants, and kind of like a wish list for the future. If you just want to get some things, what I would suggest, just based off of what I see out there. And once again, it's things that just I've learned and I've picked up along the way by looking at others, watching a lot of videos just like you're doing today. But the ultimate goal here is to get you out there, to get you fishing. It's an unbelievable experience, but you probably don't need to make the mistakes I made. So let's back up a little bit. About 2 years ago, doing the boating thing, boat fishing's outstanding. I own a boat once again, but 2 years ago, I sold my boat. One of the reasons was I just thought that the kayak fishing seemed so much easier, so much less work, especially when you're talking about the cleanup, the maintenance, the fuel. And I said, let me get into kayak fishing. So let me start by saying, if you think you're getting into kayak fishing because it's easier, you're mistaken. At least from my experience, it's not easier. It's pretty tough getting started and getting over that learning curve, and there's a lot that goes into it. But I hate to admit this, I sold my boat probably 2 years ago, and I never once, prior to buying a kayak, went kayak fishing. I watched numerous videos and said, you know what, I want to do that. And I went out and made the mistake that I'm trying to save you of. I went crazy. I bought everything. So I figured, if I'm going to sell a boat that I really loved, I'm not going to settle for something that I'm not going to be happy with. So I went and got what I considered, what a lot of people considered, the top of the line kayak. So brand new kayak, right off the showroom. When I left the showroom, it had a power pole attached to it. It had top-notch electronics. It had a live well. I mean, it had every bell and whistle you can imagine, and I had every little gadget and accessory and things that I thought I needed. Well, I learned right off the bat that some of those things you truly don't need, and some of them you absolutely do, and some of them you need, just not to the extent that those were. So that's what my goal here is. I want to talk about it a little, and then I'm going to actually change the camera view, and I'm going to go through my kayak and show you what I have and what I recommend. And once again, the goal is to get you out there and to have fun, because no one wants to go out there and be miserable and not enjoy it, which leads me to my next point. If this is something you're thinking about getting into, my recommendation is don't be dumb like me. Don't go out there and spend all this money just to realize, you know what, I bit off more than I can chew, and this is not for me. And then you've got to sell everything and go through that. So there's numerous places out there that rent kayaks. A matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, and he'll correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but a friend of mine, St. Augustine Paddle Sports out of St. Augustine, Florida, I think you can actually rent a kayak from him, and I think you can also do a guided tour kayak fishing as well. So give that a shot. Excuse me. Try that out. Borrow a kayak, or buy it. If it's something you think you're going to stick with, buy an inexpensive kayak, and you can always upgrade. And trust me, kayak fishermen seem to upgrade a lot. So do that. Don't make the mistake I did and go way out. I stuck with it, but I just had a lot of stuff I didn't need. So when it comes to picking a good kayak, there's a ton out there. I'm not going to promote anyone or bash anyone. There are really a lot of great platforms out there for you to choose from. I will tell you what I like and what I think you would enjoy. And what I currently fish out of is a Hobie Pro Angler. So am I saying you have to have a Hobie? You do not. It's just what I use. It's what I enjoy. I enjoy the stability of it, the weight limits. I'm a larger guy, a lot of equipment, no issues at all with the Hobie. And there's many other companies that you won't have any issues with as well. Do I have a brand new one? Not anymore. So I fish out of a used kayak, which is perfect. In the past, I had a $400 live well. It was great. Sometimes it was not. Sometimes I had a problem with it priming. Since then, I go with just an Engel live bait cooler for under $100. Does the same exact thing. Or even a buddy of mine showed me how to do a bait tube, which is a great little alternative that also is about $50 to get you through no problem. So we'll talk about those things and I'll actually show you them. Power pole was unbelievable. It was a great accessory for the kayak. And I love the company. I love power poles on my boat. They probably got one of the best warranties in the business of any business out there. But price, excuse me once again, price for a kayak power pole, when you're talking lithium batteries and everything else, you're pushing probably around $600 if I remember right. $600 is a lot of money. You can do the same pretty much exact thing with a little bit more inconvenience with a $50 stakeout pole. That's what I currently use now. Electronics. Once again, you may need electronics. You might be a freshwater guy or a saltwater guy that relies a lot on electronics. On a boat, I absolutely do. However, being realistic, on a kayak, did I need the electronics that I used to have? I did not. I know where I'm fishing pretty much. I know the depths, and I don't need one. And if I did need one, I would probably just go for a handheld alternative at this time. So that's what I currently run. Once again, these videos are just to help you. They're my tips. They're my opinions. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm learning every day. I'm improving my skill set. But I see a need out there to help people like me to avoid those issues, avoid spending all that money when it was not necessary, and just to, you know, help make your jump into kayak fishing a little more enjoyable and a little bit of fun. I will tell you that even something as simple as a checklist when you're getting going is a lifesaver. Where I fish, it's probably about a 45 to an hour drive from where I actually load up and where my home is and stuff. And you don't want to get all the way out there and realize you have that one item that's kind of a necessity that ruins your whole trip, and you got to turn around or you got to make some alternatives. So that's what this video is for. That's what all my videos are going to be for. They're going to be to help you. Some of them are going to be action, just fishing, but these kind of you know, go to and how to and help videos are what I enjoy and what I look forward to doing. So let's get this bad boy loaded up and go through all the accessories. I'll show you each one. I'll show you things that I think you absolutely need, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks. All right, guys, we're back here. The kayak is loaded up. We are outside, so you're gonna have to bear with me on some outside noise, but I'm just gonna go through some stuff. So let's talk firstly about, you're gonna have to have a way to carry your kayak. So number one, you need the kayak. Number two, you're gonna have a way to transport your kayak. So I just have mine in the back of a pickup truck with the tailgate down. Got some rubber mats down to keep it from sliding around. And you can use a trailer. They make bed extenders, but regardless, you're gonna have a way to transport it. So with that being said, you wanna get you probably some good straps. I only have one on there now, but I will put another one on the bow of the kayak before I head out in the morning. So that's one thing you need. I do also recommend some type of flag on the back. Keep people from running into the back of you. A lot of times we're heading out pre-dawn and coming back after dark as well. It just helps out with visibility. So let's talk about some things that I think are necessities. So right off the bat, you gotta have a PFD. I don't care if it's a full one, a automatic, inflatable, you gotta have one. You gotta wear one. Yeah, I won't fish without one, and I don't recommend you do either. Even I know some people, when it gets hot, they take them off too. That's not me. I leave mine on the whole time. After a while, you get used to it. You don't even know you got it on. So get you one of them. They range, but the one you're looking at here, like from West Marine Coastal, which is an automatic and has a manual pull, you're looking at probably about 120 bucks. You can find them on sale from now and then. I talked earlier about power poles. So on my old kayak, I used to have a power pole mounted right here to the back, and it was automatic. But right now, for less than $50, you can go with this. This is a Stakeout pole, and I don't know the actual length of it, but they come in various lengths. This one looks like it's 6 or 7 feet. And how this works is you got to have an anchor trolley. If you look on the side there and you see that rope with this ring that slides back and forth, you find a spot where the fishing's hot and you want to stop for a while. You take your Stakeout pole, you put it through this ring. Hope y'all can see that. And you stake it down. You push down on that top part until you secure, and it holds you just fine. When you're ready to go, you grab it, you pull it up, and you're back to moving around. Your kayak, like we discussed before, is going to have some mode of propulsion. So my kayak, for instance, has a pedal drive. So you always want to remember to bring your drive. Regardless, if you're running a pedal drive, an iPilot, you have got to have some type of a paddle. And here's my paddle. Even though I have a pedal drive, I always have a paddle. It's just a matter of time. No matter what kind of system you're using for propulsion, that is going to fail you at some point, and you got to have a way to move around. Also, some of these places get so shallow that my pedal drive won't work. I'll need to pull it, and I'll need to rely on the paddle as well. So remember your paddle. We talked about live wells. I did away with the live well, and I went with this Engel live bait cooler. Works just fine, runs off of batteries. It's insulated, keeps my live bait fine the duration of my fishing trip. I also want to talk about, I mentioned that bait tube. A buddy of mine, I copied this from him, and made it for less than $50. So I hope y'all can see that. I'll put it up here so you can get a better look. So that is the bait tube. Bait tube basically hooks to the side of your kayak. I used stainless components so we didn't have any rust issues. And this just hangs over the side of the kayak. I fish a lot with mud minnows here. They're really hardy. They don't die that easily. They do just fine in here. You can undo this end. You load it full of mud minnows. It's got plenty of holes in there. Water flows through even when you're moving, so you don't have any issues on the kayak. And put you a couple koozies on there, zip time for some flotation. This thing is a game changer. All right, things you also need. If you're gonna be fishing, you gotta have a fishing net. That's a must. You don't want some big, long 4 or 5 foot net that's sticking up from your kayak, because trust me, when you get into casting, you're gonna be hooking that thing all the time, and it's gonna make your trip not enjoyable. And get you a little net. They even make some leverage nets that fold. Just get you a good net, something that'll work well. You're gonna need some type of a bin or carrier to hold your poles. Fishermen are different. Some fish with a couple, some fish with 6 and 7 and 8. I probably fish with 4, but that's up to you. I don't like to tie a lot of rigs when I'm out there, so I have usually what I'm going to use tied to a separate rod, so it's just quick grab and use what I need. So my time is on the water is spent fishing. It's not spent tying rigs and tying hooks and tying lures. I do that prior to the trip on my setup. And of course I always have extra, which in case I'm using something good and I want to retie, get you a bin of some sort that you can keep under the seat on the kayak with extra plastics, lures, rigs, hooks, everything you might need. Let's talk little items. Some type of fish grip, some way to hold the fish. I recommend that. A pair of pliers. Sometimes you're going to hook these guys with treble hooks or something, and you're just going to need a little bit more than the hand. Let's talk about something vital. This Gatorade bottle. I don't care what brand you use, but when I first got into kayak fishing, you're drinking a lot of water and you have to use the bathroom. So if you're one of them, I'm assuming you're a guy and you're very comfortable with standing up on a kayak in waves and wind and current and taking care of business, then by all means, I'm not that guy. I like to stay nice and stable in that seat, and I don't think I have to get into too many explanations of what that Gatorade's bottle for, but trust me, you'll like that recommendation. So get you one of them and you'll be satisfied. If you plan on fishing tournaments, or if you keeping fish for table fare, you need some type of measuring device. Learn your regulations and get you one of these so you know that you ain't in any trouble keeping any fish if you decide to keep them. Catch and release, that's an individual choice. I do a lot of catch and release, but I also I love fish, so there are times when I'm going to keep fish and we're going to eat them. It just depends. So get you something, learn your regulations, your rules for each species. And that brings me to my next point. If you're going to get into this, make sure you get your fishing license. Depending on the state you're in, Florida is where we're at, but wherever you're at, just make sure you get a proper fishing license for the type of fishing you're doing. I'm trying to think of anything we forgot here. So guys, I think I got it covered. We talked about the transportation of the kayak. We talked about when you get there. We talked about some safety stuff, nets, ways to carry your rods, some extra bait, a little bit of tools and accessories, propulsion, straps. See, I almost let you guys down. We forgot the number one thing if you're going to go kayak fishing. You got to have a fishing pole. So get you guys a good fishing pole or two. That could be a whole separate video, but I did tell you I'd give you tips for what you need to get started. So me, Northeast Florida, inshore saltwater fishing, just real brief. I fish very light tackle. I fish pretty much 2500 series reels, 7-foot rods, 15-pound braid, 15-pound fluorocarbon leaders to various jigs, lures, live bait, you name it. So that's a quick of what I fish with as far as fishing poles. I think you're set. I would recommend some type of waterproof box. When you do finally get there, I throw my keys in there, throw my fishing license, I throw you know, just things I don't want to get wet. So get you one of them too. Any kind of little Plano waterproof box will do just fine. A good jug for water, a good cooler if you want it, will also work. And don't forget your sun protection too. I cover up pretty much head to toe. My buddies rag me, but that's fine. I look good for my age. But get you sun protection. If you don't like covering up, get you something good, because that water can be brutal out there as well. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to finish loading this bad boy up, and we're going to head out tomorrow. We're going to try to get on them fish. All right, guys, we are going to finish up loading up, and we're going to head out bright and early in the morning, try to get on these fish. I hope you enjoyed this content. I hope these little tips and tricks save you some money, save you some time. I know I learned by trial and error and watching others. People a lot smarter than me out there, put it in the comments, things I forgot, things that you think people need, and I'll add them. And If you're enjoying this stuff, please give me that thumbs up. If you're enjoying all the videos overall and what's to come, then please subscribe to True Lovin' Fishing. And once again, I hope what I've talked about today gets you out on the water and gets you into kayak fishing. It's amazing. So thank you. Have a great day. Bye, guys.